I think you get the picture. I posted the news in the Moon Train chat, and I want to take a look at it a little bit. First of all, this whole Boeing move has been incredible, and Doug and I were in it so early that we even missed the whole move. Obviously, they've been selling the dark pool on this since they were in when we were, and they held. Nevertheless, I want to bring Hawaiian Holdings to your attention. Obviously, it had a huge gap up when Alaskan Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines merged here. You see, and Alaskan had a gap down and then crawled all the way back up. Now holding over those highs. They have been selling this. They've definitely unloaded all the dark pool on this. So a few candidates on the heels of these this panel breaking off mid-flight on Alaskan Airlines. I've got my own Alaskan Airlines story, but I'll take it on the live voice on Monday. Keep an eye on for a short on Hawaiian Holdings. Keep an eye on Alaskan Airlines. Could see 33. I would be very surprised if Alaskan Airlines and Boeing have not gapped down on Monday. Clearly a bear flag here. We're playing the gap on it on Friday real quick for a scalp, but this has gone up a lot, and looking at the dark pool has chance to go down. Why is that? Well, people are buying this dip furiously with flow, but there's no dark pool to support this move here. And with the news, I'm not saying someone always knows, but it is weird that they were absolutely dumping Boeing, right? Alaskan Airlines doesn't look like that was still supported into close, so maybe look to short this. It might gap down though, obviously. So that is something. But while I have the dark pool up here, there's something very interesting. Remember, I had a turning down Friday plus minus one. Okay. And tech has obviously been taking a beating because of the 10-year yield being a little elevated around 4. Dark pool all day. Dark pool all day on QQQ, as well as some flow coming in. SPY, some flow, sold dark pool end of day there. But overall, if you look on the 15-minute, it really... it shows a picture that somebody's coming in here to buy tech, and as well as SPY. I mean, they bought more dark pool last week than they sold. Okay? So just keep this in mind. Still no ghost candles per se. Let me showcase Apple here for you as well. The reason being, Apple closed or bounced off of the 200 daily. So I'm going to see if this starts increasing here because they have been furiously selling Apple Dark Pool. But somebody's now nibbling when you look on the 1 minute. Someone's definitely nibbling over there for further out. Another one to really start keeping an eye on is Amazon. And personally, I really like this elevated 15-minute dark pool here while it's testing these levels it had here in early December, late November. I think earnings is going to propel this. And this play is one of my major plays coming up. It's the same day as FOMC, so there's really a chance for this to go absolutely bonkers. Okay, from that Wednesday into Friday, and that's coming up in a few weeks, 3 weeks. Okay, I saw that Kathy was buying Tesla, and somebody's nibbling at it. I mean, this has not been the easiest trade whatsoever. It's just been chopping around. So let's see if this starts really popping up here. Another one to keep an eye on for these ETFs is Hood. Obviously, it's holding pretty well. Somebody's buying there on the 1 minute, holding up pretty good considering the selling pressure. So if he keeps holding maybe into Wednesday, that is something to keep an eye out on. Now, as far as SPY, let's start with the SPX. The SPX chart doesn't show the whole story. I spoke about this on Voice quite extensively. You have second day rejection of these levels here. This volume shelf close below the 21 looks very, very bearish. Okay, I think that the clue is in SPY. We still are within turning days, right? Now, why was Friday different? Well, you got to look at this NFP report and see that we lost a shit ton of jobs. Actually, it was all just seasonal jobs. That's why we bounced. Where did we bounce? Very, very important. If you missed me yapping about this, the FOMC announcement price was right here. Okay, we came 20 cents of it. Maybe this is the actual price, but back then it showed 464.40. Now I tried to post a video about this on TikTok. It just keeps getting banned and banned and banned. I think it might be the reason. But anyways, pre-market, huge week up off of that level, and then we rallied. We could not get over Thursday's highs, but we closed above Thursday's lows, barely, and we also closed above Friday's lows. So what's the conclusion? Well, the conclusion is bears had a really good chance of just drilling this into close. Now, this is going to be very, very simple. If we gap over the closing price on Monday, okay, if we gap over, and you can put a alert here. I also mentioned 468 being the level. We closed a little above it. If we can just gap a few cents over this, that is extremely bullish. If we gap underneath this, is really, really bad. Okay, and then Friday's low of day and that FOMC level come into play. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about here on the volume shelf, why it's very important that we actually gap up a little bit. Okay, it's this volume shelf. This volume shelf, once we lose this FOMC price, if that's lost, and I'm gonna actually put an alert here too, we're going to 455. I've mentioned that quite a few times because there's nothing here. There's some levels that could bounce. All these could bounce, but we're definitely going down here. Now, what's bullish? This stow right here on the daily is about to cross. Okay? Now, every time we've had a cross on it, an actual cross, because they can still do this type of fuckery, we've rallied hard. Okay, even here we got a nice little pop up there to close to all-time highs. Keep an eye on this. If this crosses, I think we're off to the races. My first the upside targets are all-time high, and then the ultimate here, which I think will take out with ease this year, is 508, but remains to be seen. This is a crucial point. We have closed under the 21 before during periods, and then had quite the rally. So we will see. I would hate for this to be a repetition of August. Okay, the MA setups are different. Okay, across the board. we still have the 9 above there. I would like to get back above the 9. That would be really bullish. And it's not, I mean, we have a lot coming up this week. We got CPI, PPI, jobs, bank earnings. Bank earnings are very important. Now, on the heels of this, I want to see this get higher, and we still have bullish call flow as the 7-day expiration. They're starting. You remember last week they were a little all over the place and very hard to read, but they're starting to consolidate to the same type of patterns again. Further out, there's a little bit more puts, but calls are gaining again. All right, and obviously I look mostly on the 7-day expiration. Now, again, keep Boeing on watch. This could start selling. I'm not saying that they are not going to try to save it, but that is one ugly bear flag that's coming down. Where could it go? It could go to 238, 233. If it loses 233, it'll make its way all the way down here. So very interesting. It's got earnings the day before FOMC. This would be the perfect time, in my opinion, to bring it down to then pop it. Okay? We got that Marvel move. That paid handsomely, 300%. Not going to be playing it anymore. All right, so Hood on watch. Can it regain these levels here? And once it gets... Remember, we have those not phantom prints, but pre-market pops to 1350, actually 70, and 1384. Once it clears those levels, there's nothing stopping this from going absolutely bonkers. So one of my main watches again for next week, if it picks up momentum. Probably not going to mess with Coinbase too much. I don't see how the ETFs, I mean, that was an exit liquidity move. Might be something there, but at the end of the day, the only reason they're doing these ETFs, they want the whole crypto space. So I don't see it as long-term bullish for crypto in that sense. They just want the money laundering machine, basically. Microsoft, not the best week. When you really zoom out, you could argue this is still bull flagging and all of that. But let's look under the hood to see what's going on. I'd like to see this pick up before I get too bullish. Now, one that stuck out to me was Unity. Actually had a decent Friday, and it's rejected the gap twice. So also on watch, it's made its cup. But remember, it looked like it wouldn't do this. We were still in here. But it is, how low is it? If we're not going to have a bullish week and CPI is not bullish and all of this, I think Unity is going to come down and test the 200. So it's too early to tell which way. I'm leaning up. Nothing's really changed. Why wouldn't they want to keep popping the market higher? But the CPI is definitely going to showcase, I don't think we're going to get a rate cut until spring. I don't think they're going to do that this FOMC. So we'll see. We could, there's a possibility we have a few weeks of very bullish action into that FOMC and then literally sell off until the next FOMC. And if they start propping it up here, I mean, for next FOMC to trade above its price, we're going to be trading in the 490s, 500s pretty soon. So is the market ready for that, or are they going to save it for later? I mean, you got to think election year here. You got to think all this stuff. So especially if we start pumping now miraculously, I'd be weary of that FOMC. Now, UPSD down back here to these levels that we played the breakup from. I'm still keeping an eye on this, but IWM really needs to get going for any of these to move. Obviously, we caught a beautiful 300% move on NVIDIA. there's not a lot of dark pool under here, but it obviously can do whatever it wants to do on daily flow. Huge move after just eating shit on Tuesday and spending days down here. Still keeping a watch on it. I'm thinking maybe it even wants to, go try this trend line and reject. The problem here is once it's not 500. That's the thing. It's 300, right? Once over 300 and 5, funds are gonna really come for this, because earnings price, if you can get above, they can slap 100 million on it and see if they can get, more. Then it should go even higher. It's consolidated phenomenally well, so keep an eye on what it does there. Earnings late February, all right? Apple. I mean, this has just been brutal for Apple, but it bounced where it needed to bounce, which is bullish for the overall market. I'm still bullish on the market above 176 for obvious reasons, and 172. Apple doesn't have enough strength to come back over this volume shelf if it goes through. So the 200 on the daily, I mean, is huge. It's absolutely mega, as you can see. It's huge. So we want this to hold. We want Tim Cook to pull out some Apple Watches out of his hat. Tesla still not. I mean, every time Tesla's tried it, it just gets fucking slapped down, and it's currently under that trend line. So not particularly eager to trade this right now. I think it's gonna be more of a earnings thing, and earnings are coming up. And speaking of earnings, but before I get to that, Meta. I think the reason Meta had a good day was that Zuck is reportedly done selling, and that could be bullish. If not, if this market sells, I'll be looking at the magic number of 333. However, there's a good chance this has a stab now at least that previous high of 361, which is still $10 away. So let's just check what Meta is doing under the hood so we get a better understanding. Want to look at that. Okay, so was it just flow? I mean, there's a lot of flow on it. Dark pool, not so much. So maybe those early morning moves if it looks bullish, but I wouldn't hold it per se. Once shitty stocks start going again, AI will be on watch, but right now that is not a good looking chart. All right, let's look at some of the internals. This is huge. This chart is absolutely ridiculous. And why do I bring it up? Well, bank earnings on Friday are huge. Okay, will definitely move the market. Question is, do they tank the market or do they keep going? All right. Now we have a situation where we've broken all-time highs. Could it use a pullback to the 21 or even this volume shelf? Yeah. Because this is again a cup. You'd think they come down here to test these levels and then send it. If not, this is gonna go. It's a very you could call it an exit liquidity move. However, I'll be watching this very closely. They're buying 15-minute dark pool on it. Why? I don't know. It's obviously propped it to all-time highs, but look at where they started selling it, okay? Very close to here. Usually they just keep selling this, but they're buying it again. which is weird. So something for us to keep an eye out on. And the fact that KRE is still holding also tells me, well, maybe it's not as cut as dry as they're going to sell it. Maybe they're going to actually push it higher. Market needs something, right? Market needs something. Obviously, Bitcoin news next week. Okay, yes, great. IWM, absolute freaking failure to break above. It broke out. There was really no resistance, and market just crapped out, especially this. So now we feel the gap. We're underneath. This needs something really strong, or it's literally gonna go down to 185. So shitty stocks are off the table until like next summer if it starts doing that. VIX held the gap all week. Very interesting. Looks like, which is why I'm a little cautiously bullish on SPY, is that it's gonna give up the 1 hour 89 there and fill this gap early next week, which it should. And when you go and look on the daily, you can say, okay, well, it backtested. It's still a bear flag. Worst case scenario, we chop a little more and we chop into FOMC, but I don't think so with that CPI. I mean, CPI has provided a candle, so depending on the dark pool and flow, I'm going to try to attempt one of these KRE candles again, because from here you had to move from 44 to 48 actually the next day. That's a $4 move. 48 to 51 and then 54. I would love to catch something like this, and the setups there on you know, a macro side, we got CPI and then the next day banks, so we could get a crazy ass move that sends us to 57. And if you can close at 57.60 somehow next week, and you're sitting on 56s and you had balls and luck enough to do it, you're gonna be seeing some serious ass gains. And if you look at January here, if you look on KRE, you go on your phone, and this plays into playing premiums, right? If you go to January 12th and you start scrolling up, you'll see that the 56s, although they closed at 1 cent, are marked at 17. The 56.5s, they did that KRE shit, is at 420. And the 57s at 263. So what's up with that? That tells me that most likely there's something going on over there. You kind of have that same thing on the put side. The 48 and a halves are 1 cent, are $1, and the 48s are 5, and so forth. So definitely KRE is gonna bust a move. I mean, you'd think so after consolidating for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 trading days. From here, top of this channel to the downside, you would think that we could get a Candolini this week. If not, this is unplayable for me for a while, unless writing some puts. You're also coming up on the anniversary on this very, very soon. And there's a reason, again, it spent a lot of time building a volume shelf. Look at this daily candle. It was absolutely brutal. I remember when it happened. So you would think that they pump it up here by, February. So let's see. I mean, banks have been doing really good. Okay. Now oil, I mean, doesn't excite me to trade this. Chart says we should bounce, but 89 says no, we're gonna come and backtest and then crap out. So 10-year yield, most important thing, we need this to reject, and for the market to do anything. We even pumped above the 200 but close to underneath it, which is good. And the setup is very bullish, but we need a fucking good old crap out All right, and we need to get under 3.8 fast. The Dixie pretty much following that of the 10-year yield. We need this to start rejecting, or it's going to take a ride first here and then probably up there before it rejects, and then you're not going to be having any type of rallies anytime soon. Again, this RSI is oversold. Possible cross there. I'm gonna keep an eye on this, and we want to see a curl. Now the NAMO, the price is held surprisingly well, considering the action. We like the NAMO showing we should have sold way more than we have. Starting to hit these levels that we've always bounced from. So once this starts curling up, I'm extremely bullish, and that RSI on that is at 35, and we could go a little lower. Has always bounced off at 30 around there. Okay, so that's the setup we're going into this week. I'll know the range for the week and the day on Monday, but I do want to point out one more time in case you missed it, just to cover all bases. On SPX, my monthly low, okay, is around here. Now we've satisfied that kind of, it's here around this level, a little lower than FOMC. It doesn't have to touch, but my monthly high is up here, right there actually. So since we sold, we're kind of stopped selling. We've range bound here. You know, you could argue almost inside day, but not really. On Monday, if we could close above the 21, I'm putting on my bull horns and my bull balls again. I think that was pretty extensive, and I covered it. I want to finish off by saying that the market risk is elevated again to 257. I'd like to see that down under 250 again. All up to the VIX and the 10-year yield, really. Very interesting European or German stock market could see this rally. Again, I've been holding off on China. I know Twitter got a lot of people buying BABA and this and that. Doesn't look like it's time yet. All right. Again, I want to see that 6% daily candle for me to get into it. And then as I finished on boys, I've been watching this. We haven't really gone anywhere since that CPI candle, and volume steadily died out. Friday, last hour, first time we broke this wedge. Okay, we haven't had these type of volume days. That is green. Okay, small detail could end up being very valuable. God bless, guys. Probably will be mostly scalping Monday, Tuesday, and then positioning based on dark pool flow and the feel of the market starting Wednesday. Okay, so if you're coming in all guns blazing Monday, kudos to you. I'll probably be a little bit more reserved the first 2 days as I've been last week, just because the market's been chopping. There's been some good moves, but I'm looking for something bigger. All right. God bless.